One of my goals this year was to make 6 king-size quilts, and time is running out and I needed to make one more. Plus, I've always wanted to make a modern rainbow-looking quilt for our bedroom, and today's the day I am going to make one. Now, we are making my newest pattern called Rainbow Road. If you want to make a similar quilt with the same color palette, I will have all of the fabrics and colors listed within the free PDF pattern down below in the description. But let's go ahead and get started. Now, first, you are going to take the yardage of your 6 different rainbow colors, and of course, you can change the color palette as well. I've also considered doing a retro color palette, but of course, rainbow won because who doesn't love a nice rainbow quilt? But all you need to do with your yardage is cut 2.5-inch strips by width of fabric. Now, depending on the quilt size, which of course this pattern is available in 5 quilt sizes, baby throw, twin, queen, and king, I will of course tell you in the pattern how many strips to cut out from your yardage. And here is a little preview of my strips in the rainbow form. Now, if you are making the throw size and up, with each color, you're going to daisy chain your strips together one right after each other to make one continuous strip color. So as an example, you're going to sew all of your pinky reds together in one single chain. Then you're going to repeat that to all of the oranges, then the yellow, etc., etc., basically per each color. Now, after your colors are chain pieced, you're going to use the chart that's in the free PDF pattern to tell you what length to subcut your strips into and how many of those that you will need to cut as well. Now, since I am making that king size version, I needed to cut my strips at 112 inches, which is very difficult to do on my cutting table. So I already did this, but on the floor, which sadly you won't see, but here is what they are already cut at length. Now, if you are making the smaller quilt sizes, this of course will be much easier, but as I've stated several times, I'm going big today. Now, you will need to sew your rainbow strips together to complete the rainbow strip set. Now, when you go to iron your strips together to make your rainbow road, you need to lift your iron up and down while pressing your seams. Now, this is why the rainbow road is labeled as an intermediate quilt pattern because of this step right here. It is easy to sew all together, but do your best to try not to stretch your fabrics while ironing, or in the end, it will be uneven and warped. And here is actually a perfect example of what can happen. Now, I personally did buy extra fabric because of this reason. Since I'm making the king size version, I knew it was kind of going to be inevitable, so my ends were going to be uneven. But since I cut my strips out a little longer than normal, I will go ahead and trim and square everything up here at the end. But once all of your rainbow strip sets are made, you're going to finish your quilt by adding your background fabric between each row, kind of like sashing. Now, I originally bought this wide width fabric because I thought it would be amazing and kind of like a time saver for me, but do note that this pattern is only written for standard width of fabric length. And I highly recommend that you follow that no matter what size you are making, because working with this 108 with bolt was kinda a pain in the butt. Now, I would personally cut my strips out and they would somehow still be uneven, and it actually ended up being a lot more work. But luckily, if you want this fabric as well, you can get it at the normal length, but of course, once your quilt is completed, you're going to go ahead and quilt it. And here is my finished quilt. And since the wide fabric was a pain in the butt, I went ahead and used up the rest for the backing of this quilt. But since it's 108 inches wide, I needed to add some more length, and I went ahead and did this colorful stripe just so I can make it long enough. Now, I personally would have added this stripe down the center or like in the middle of the quilt backing, but since this wide fabric was folded a little weird on the bolt, I didn't want to end up cutting down the center and have a chance of it being uneven. So I kind of threw in the towel just a little bit and ended up piecing it on top. But I will also have a link down below in the description for the digital long arm pattern. And I also used glide thread in Fog, which is one of my favorite go-to threads for like a gray color tone. But I do hope you've enjoyed my latest quilt pattern called Rainbow Road. The free PDF pattern will be down below in the description. And if you could, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be notified for your next amazing quilt project.